Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs is a non-ministerial department of the UK government responsible for the collection of taxes, the payment of some forms of state support, and the administration of other regulatory regimes including the national minimum wage. HMRC was formed by the merger of the Inland Revenue and Her Majesty's Customs and Excise, which took effect on April 18, 2005. The department's logo is the St. Edward's crown enclosed within a circle. Departmental Responsibilities. The department is responsible for the administration and collection of direct taxes including income tax and corporation tax, capital taxes such as capital gains tax and inheritance tax, indirect taxes, excise duties and stamp duty, land tax, and environmental taxes such as air passenger duty and the climate change levy. Other aspects of the department's responsibilities include national insurance contributions, the distribution of child benefit and some other forms of state support including the Child Trust Fund, payments of tax credits, enforcement of the national minimum wage, administering anti-money laundering registrations for money service businesses and collection and publication of the trading goods statistics. Responsibility for the protection of the UK's borders passed to UK Visas and Immigration, the UK Border Agency within the Home Office on April 1, 2008 and then to UK Visas and Immigration in 2013. HMRC has two overarching public service agreement targets for the period 2008–2011, improve the extent to which individuals and businesses pay the tax due and receive the credits and payments to which they are entitled, improve customers' experiences of HMRC and improve the UK business environment. Powers of officers. HMRC is a law enforcement agency which is a strong cadre of criminal investigators responsible for investigating serious organised fiscal crime. This includes all of the previous HMCE criminal work such as tobacco, alcohol and oil smuggling. They have aligned their previous customs and excise powers to tackle previous inland revenue criminal offences. They are responsible for seizing billions of stolen pounds of HMG's revenue. Their skills and resources include the full range of intrusive and covert surveillance, and they are a senior partner in the Organised Crime Partnership Board. HMRC inland detection officers have wide-ranging powers of arrest, entry, search and detention. The main power is to detain anyone who has committed, or who the officer has reasonable grounds to suspect has committed, any offence under the Customs and Excise Acts. HMRC is also listed under parts of the British government which contribute to intelligence collection, analysis and assessment. Their prosecution cases may be coordinated with the police, the Revenue and Customs Prosecutions Office or the Crown Prosecution Service. Structure. The department is organised around 4 operational groups, each led by a Director General. The 4 operational groups are, Personal Tax, led by Ruth Owen, Benefits and Credits, led by Nick Lodge, Business Tax, led by Jim Harrer, Enforcement and Compliance, led by Jenny Granger. In addition to the 4 operational groups, there are 5 supporting groups. These are, Permanent Secretary for Tax Group, Chief Finance Officer Group, Chief Information Officer Group, General Counsel and Solicitor Group, Chief People Officer Group. HMRC deals with the top 2,000 large business via CRM. The next 8,400 business are dealt with via customer coordinators who provide a single point of contact with HMRC. History. The merger of the Inland Revenue and Customs and Excise was announced by then-Chancellor of the Exchequer Gordon Brown in the budget on March 17, 2004. The name for the new department and its first executive chairman, David Varney, were announced on May 9, 2004. Varney joined the Nascent Department in September 2004, and staff started moving from Somerset House and New King's Beam House into HMRC's new headquarters building at 100 Parliament Street in Whitehall on November 21, 2004. The planned new department was announced formally in the Queen's Speech of 2004 and a bill, the Commissioners for Revenue and Customs Bill, was introduced into the House of Commons on September 24, 2004, and received royal assent as the Commissioners for Revenue and Customs Act 2005 on April 7, 2005. The Act also creates a Revenue and Customs Prosecutions Office responsible for the prosecution of all revenue and customs cases. The old Inland Revenue and Customs and Excise departments had very different historical bases, internal cultures and legal powers. The merger was described by the Financial Times on July 9, 2004, as mating the C&E Terrier with the IR Retriever. For an interim period, officers of HMRC are empowered to use existing inland revenue powers in relation to matters within the remit of the old Inland Revenue and existing customs powers in relation to matters within the remit of the old Customs and Excise. However, a major review of the powers required by HMRC was announced at the time of the 2004 pre-budget report on December 9, 2004, covering the suitability of existing powers, new powers that might be required, and consolidating the existing compliance regimes for surcharges, interest, penalties and appeal, which may lead to a single, consolidated enforcement regime for all UK taxes, and a consultation document was published after the 2005 budget on March 24, 2005. Legislation to introduce new information and inspection powers was included in Finance Act 2008. The new consolidated penalty regime was introduced via Finance Act 2007. As part of the spending review on July 12, 2004, Gordon Brown estimated that 12,500 jobs would be lost as a result of the merger by March 2008, around 14% of the combined headcount of Customs and Inland Revenue. In addition, 2,500 staff would be redeployed to frontline activities. Estimates suggested this may save around £300 million in staff costs, out of a total annual budget of £4 billion. The total number of job losses included policy functions within the former Inland Revenue and Customs which moved into the Treasury, so that the Treasury became responsible for strategy and tax policy development, and HMRC took responsibility for policy maintenance. In addition, certain investigatory functions moved to the new Serious Organised Crime Agency, as well as prosecutions moving to the new Revenue and Customs Prosecution Office. A further programme of job cuts and office closures was announced on November 16, 2006. Whilst some of the offices closed will be in bigger cities where other offices already exist, many will be in local, rural areas, where there is no other HMRC presence. The numbers of job reductions and office closures has not been officially announced, but the proposals imply that up to 200 offices will close and a further 12,500 jobs were to be lost from 2008 to 2011. In May 2009, staff morale in HMRC was the lowest of 11 government departments surveyed. In 2013, HMRC began to introduce an update to the PAYE system, which meant it would receive information on tax and employee earnings from employers each month, rather than at the end of a tax year. A trial of the new system began in April 2012, and all employers are due to switch by October 2013. Governance structure: the board is composed of members of the Executive Committee and non-executive directors. Its main role is to develop and approve HMRC unregistered trademark's overall strategy, approve final business plans and advise the Chief Executive on key appointments. It also performs an assurance role and advises on best practice. The Treasury Minister responsible for HMRC is the Financial Secretary to the Treasury, David Gauke MP. Chief Executive The Chief Executive is also the Permanent Secretary for HMRC and the Accounting Officer. Dame Leslie Strathy 2008 Euro 2011, Lynn Homer 2012 onwards. Chairman The Chairman of HMRC was an executive role until 2008. Mike Clasper served as a non-executive chairman. From August 2012, the post was abolished with a lead non-executive director chairing board meetings instead. Sir David Volney April 2005 August 2006, Paul Gray September 2006 February 2007 and February 2007 November 2007, Dave Hartnett CB 2007 July 31, 2008, Mike Clasper CBE August 1, 2008 August 1, 2012. Non-executive board members Non-executive board members as of January 2013 are, Ian Barlow, Volker Beckers, Colin Cobain, Edwina Dunn, Philippa Hurd, Phil Hodkinson, Norman Picker Vance, John Whiting. Performance: HMRC collected a £475.6 billion for the Treasury in 2011 December. At the end of March 2009, HMRC was managing 20 million open cases which could affect around 4.5 million individuals who may have overpaid in total sum a £1.6 billion of tax and a further 1.5 million individuals who may have underpaid in total sum a £400 million of tax. In 2007 a €08 HMRC overpaid tax credits to the value of a £1 billion. At the end of March 2009, HMRC had a £4.4 billion of overpayments to be recovered. Controversies. Child benefit records misplacement equals. On November 20, 2007 the Chancellor of the Exchequer announced that 2 discs that held the personal details of all families in the United Kingdom claiming child benefit had gone missing. This is thought to affect approximately 25 million individuals and 7.5 million families in the UK. The missing discs include personal details such as name, date of birth, national insurance number, and bank details. The then-Chancellor, Alistair Darling, stated that there was no indication that the details had fallen into criminal hands. However, he urged people to monitor their bank accounts. IT problems EDS ran the Inland Revenues Tax and National Insurance System from 1994 to 2004. In 2003, the launch of a new tax credit system led to overpayments of £2 billion to over 2 million people. EDS later paid a £71.25 million in compensation for the disaster. In 2004, the contract was awarded to Capgemini. This contract, also with Fujitsu and BT, was one of the biggest ever IT outsourcing contracts, at a value of £2.6 billion. In February 2010, HMRC encountered problems following the implementation of their taxes modernization program called Modernizing Pay-as-You-Earn processes for customers. The IT system was launched in June 2009 and its first real test came in a period known as annual coding. Annual coding issues certain codes to taxpayers on a yearly basis. The annual coding process sent out incorrect tax coding notices to some taxpayers and their employers, meaning that they would pay too much tax the following year. It was claimed that HMRC knew the errors were going to occur as early as June 2009. Underpayments to ethnic minority claimants In August 2010, 7 HMRC staff were sacked for deliberately underpaying benefits to ethnic minority claimants. Dave Hartnett, Permanent Secretary for Tax at HMRC, said the department operates a zero-tolerance policy on racial discrimination. Goldman Sachs deal in surveillance of Osetemba The whistleblower Osetemba revealed to The Guardian that HMRC entered a deal with Goldman Sachs which allowed Goldman Sachs to escape paying a £10 million interest on unpaid tax. Following this, HMRC used powers under the Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act to examine the belongings, emails, internet search records and phone calls of their own solicitor, Osetemba, and the phone records of his then-wife to find if he had spoken to the editor of The Guardian, David Lee. MPs in the House of Commons Public Accounts Committee praised Osetemba and called for scrutiny into HMRC's use of RIPA powers in a report. The report said, "We are deeply disappointed by HMRC's handling of whistleblowers. We consider that HMRC's use of powers reserved for tackling serious criminals against Mr. Osetemba was indefensible. HMRC told us that it had changed how it deals with whistleblowers and that it now provides information to its Audit and Risk Committee who can use this to challenge how HMRC handles whistleblowers." See also, HM Treasury, Government Offices Great George Street, Revenue Scotland. References. External links, official website, Commissioners for Revenue and Customs Act 2005, Treasury press release, HMRC criticised for using terror laws against tax whistleblower The Guardian, 2014.